What's up, guys? Scotty2 Hockey here, aka the Average Hockey Fan once again. And after a hard-fought battle, after forcing overtime, unfortunately the Montreal Canadiens come up short to the Buffalo Sabres and lose the game 5-4 in overtime. I'm not gonna lie, Jack Eichel for the Buffalo Sabres was phenomenal last night. He, like Austin Matthews, like all these kids that come at that United States Development Program, are Habs killers. The guy has 9 points in the past 4 games against the Montreal Canadiens. As for the lineups last night for the Habs, Tatar, Danault, and Gallagher made up the top line. Lehkonen, Domi, Suzuki made up the second line. The third line was really good last night. Drouin, Kotkaniemi, and Armia. And the fourth line, all hard workers, all good two-way players. Byron, Thompson, and Wheel, Now, as for the defense, there were a few changes made on the defense. The top line was Mete and Weber. The second line was Sherratt and Petrie. And in place of Kulak and Fleury, we have Mike Riley and Christian Folin making up the third line. And in place of Carey Price as the goalie last night, and I did not think he did a very good job, Keith Kincaid was the starting goalie last night. And honestly, he did not look great for the Montreal Canadiens. If Price was in net, I truly believe the Habs would have won that game. Some of those goals, especially that third Eichel goal, it was so bad. Especially that third goal for Buffalo, that Eichel goal, it was brutal. I'll get into it later in the video. Now, we look at the shots. Buffalo had 39 shots. Montreal had 27 shots. Buffalo had 13 block shots. The Habs had 11 block shots. Buffalo had 18 hits. Montreal had 16 hits. Buffalo had a 46.8% face-off percentage. Montreal had a 53.2% face-off percentage. Montreal had 4 takeaways. Buffalo had 4 takeaways. Montreal had 13 turnovers, some of them costly. Buffalo had 7 turnovers. Montreal went 1 for 3 on the power play, so a good power play goal for the Habs. And Buffalo's red-hot power play, which was 60% coming into this game, went 2 for 5. So once again, they weren't 60% last night, but once again, they were red-hot last night. And the very first goal of the game, 5:04 into the first period, it was a power play goal for the Buffalo Sabres, one of the hottest young rookies in the league so far. He already has 4 power play goals on the season in 4 games. Olofsson scores, assisted by Eichel and Dahlin. Dahlin carries it in, makes a nice little play over to Eichel. Eichel's on the sideboards. He whips it over to the front of the net to Olofsson. Olofsson makes no mistake, beats Keith Kincaid clean. A beautiful goal for Olofsson, not going to lie. Then 14:06 into the first period, Yoel Armia scores a shorthanded goal assisted by Nate Thompson. Thompson makes a nice little move over on the sideboards, whips it over to Yoel Armia in front of the net. He beats Carter Hutton. Nice goal for Yoel Armia. Then 19:39 into the first period, only 20 seconds left in the period. The Habs get a beautiful power play goal by Yoel Armia, assisted by Nick Suzuki. Tatar's behind the net. Somehow he's trying to get his puck on the stick. It pops out. It goes over to or he's trying to get his stick on the puck, Somehow it pops out. It goes over to Suzuki. Suzuki makes a nice little nifty hand to Armia in front of the net. Armia makes no mistake, buries it for his second goal of the game and a power play goal. That's 2 special teams goals for Armia. He had a shorthanded goal and a power play goal. The guy's a beast on the special teams. He puts in a lot of work for the Habs. Very underrated player for the Montreal Canadiens, in my opinion. And that third line last night was great. Armia had 2 goals. Kotkaniemi had a goal. Drouin had a point again. That's 3 straight games with points for Drouin. So the third line has looked really, really good. As for the second period, there was only 2 goals. They were both Buffalo Sabres goals, and they were both by the same player. 4:46 into the second period, a power play goal by Jack Eichel, assisted by Dahlin and Reinhart. Dahlin had a really good night last night. I kind of hate it because I got the guy in my fantasy hockey pool. He crippled my team last night. He was a big part of Buffalo's win. And overall, the kid's just a phenomenal rookie. What can I say? And then we get into the goal I absolutely hated. 14:13 into the second period. Jack Eichel corrals it in the Buffalo zone, skates up the ice, blows by one Habs player, comes into the Habs zone. There's 2 defenders back. They should have been ready for him. 2 defenders right in front of his face. Ben Sherratt and Jeff Petrie. Danault's on the side of him. He has 3 Habs players back. 1-on-3. Somehow Jack Eichel gets a rocket of a shot off, beats Keith Kincaid clean, and I honestly think if Carey Price was in net, he would have stopped that shot. It was a nice shot. It was a nice rocket of a wrist shot, but Price would have been all over that. Keith Kincaid should have been in position to make that save. I was actually shocked that that went in. And as for the defense on that play, atrocious. It looked very, very suspect. Then we get into the third period, 47 seconds into the third period. Buffalo's rolling once again. Skinner gets a nice backhand goal assisted by Johansson. Johansson had a good game too. Then 144 into the third period. KK gets his second goal in 3 games, his second road goal of the season, assisted by Armia and Drouin. A nice little goal by KK right in front of the net, makes no mistake, puts it by Carter Hutton. Then 12:54 into the third period. Ben Sherratt ties it up on a nice play assisted by Riley and Lehkonen. Mike Riley gets a point in his first game for the Habs this year, playing on the third line, trying to earn a spot. Honestly, him and Folin didn't play a ton. I didn't see a lot of Christian Folin and Mike Riley, but what I did, I'm not going to lie, I did like what I seen from them. I'm not going to say that they were better than Fleury and Kulak. I did like what I've seen from Cale Fleury in most of the games. Brett Kulak could be better. I'm not going to say they were better than Fleury and Kulak, but I did like what I seen from them last night. They were defensively solid, and for the short bit of time they were on the ice, they did play really well. After that, there was no more scoring. It was a little bit of back and forth. Couple nice saves by each goalie. Keith Kincaid, although he did have a rough game, he looked pretty good in overtime and pretty good in the last 10 minutes of the third period, but he still didn't get the job done. If Price was in net, I still think Price would have got the win. But we get into overtime. 1 minute and 30 seconds into overtime, Johansson scores off a nice play by Miller and Eichel. Eichel passes it over to Miller. Miller passes it cross ice to Johansson right in front of Keith Kincaid. Johansson makes no mistake, beats Kincaid, gets the game winner on a beautiful play. The Habs were facing a 4-on-3 for most of the overtime that they did play. Johansson scored at 1:30, but for 1:25 of that overtime, the Habs were shorthanded because they took a penalty with 35 seconds left in the third period, and it did cost them. That goal was actually an even strength goal because the player who got the penalty was just stepping on the ice as Johansson scored, so it was an even strength goal for the Buffalo Sabres. Anyways, guys, the Habs lose. Let me know what you think of that loss. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment. This is Scotty 2 Hockey, aka the Average Hockey Fan. We'll get him tonight in Detroit. Go Habs, go. Have a great day, folks. Over and out.